Hello and welcome to 360 Gamercast, episode 169 for Thursday, the 22nd of June, 2023. I'm your host, Mark Webb, gamertag, Pearson ID, Steam ID, Webby, 360G, and joining me on this very fine evening is...
Hey, I'm Alex from the Arcade Archive. Good to be back.
And here, as usual, Sensei Switch.
Excellent. So this week we're carrying on with our Nintendo series of podcasts. This will be the last one that we do of the home consoles. It'll be the Wii and the Wii U, because obviously after that it's the Switch, but we haven't been doing the current consoles anyway. But after this home console episode, in a couple of weeks we'll be doing a Nintendo handheld episode covering all the handhelds that Nintendo have put out. So there's quite a lot there: Game Boys, 3DSs, and all sorts of things. So
Yay.
yes.
And the Switch.
Oh yeah, but yeah. So so we'll do the usual. We'll talk about the Wii. We'll talk about the oldest one first. We'll talk about the Wii, and then we'll talk about the Wii U. I'm prefacing this. Do not have high expectations from myself or Darren in this week's conversation, because even though I don't know about Darren, but I had a Wii and I had a Wii U, but I didn't play them a hell of a lot. So this is why Alex is here, because he's going to carry us. So,
I always carry Nintendo, don't I?
Yeah. But anyway, like a little bit of history about the Wii, which will not take me long to talk about at all. This might make a lot of us feel old. The Wii released on December the 8th, 2006. And included with the Wii was a little game called Wii Sports, which
I played
too, and a lot of old people did in old people's homes apparently, which is one of the reasons why the Wii is one of the best-selling consoles of all time. I mean, if you cast your mind back to that time, we had the Xbox 360 and the PS3, and Nintendo wanted to go in a completely different direction to the other console manufacturers. They wanted to do their own things. So the Wii, I believe, released cheaper than the Xbox and the PlayStation because it was less powerful, but they had a completely different gameplay experience with the Wiimote controller, which basically just looks like a remote, which was meant to be to make it easier for more casual people to play. So there's that. So I mean, I personally, so I'm going to probably have to hand it off to you in a minute, Nintendo man, Alex, because I, like, from my point of view, I don't really have a lot of memories of the Wii, apart from playing, like, Wii Bowling, and I do remember having the Wii Fit board, which didn't get used very much.
No, I have to say I didn't own that, actually.
Oh, right.
I never owned the Wii Fit board.
Yeah.
But I had little zapper attachments that you could put your Wii remote into to get a more sort of better experience with the kind of the light gun games. Well, not really light gun games, were they? Well, yeah, they were. They were.
They technically were. They had the little bar, didn't they? That you put across for your TV. Yeah.
Well, you had to have that for the Wii remote to work, didn't you? So every Wii came with this little bar you put on top of your telly, so it could see, like, sense where your controller was going, moving, and then obviously that is how they got rid of around the light gun issue, because as we all know, since we moved to HD TVs from the old CRT, we've not been able to have proper light gun games, because they used to work with the reflection of the light from the TV back into the gun.
Correct. Yeah. So,
Go on, mate.
So my experience with the Wii then. So I was really excited about this. I remember watching all the build up to it. I think they were at E3, and they did this big thing. And what was it? It was going to be called the Revolution or something like that. It had another name.
That rings a bell, yeah.
So it had another. I think it was a Revolution. Something along those lines. You know, correct me if I'm wrong, but it definitely started off with a different name. And then when they announced it was called the Wii, everyone was taking the piss out of it.
Yeah.
Naturally, because they thought it was a stupid name, didn't they?
Yeah, I still think it's a stupid name now, but there we go.
What, is it an abbreviation for something?
I've got no idea.
It means
wireless interactive something.
Maybe.
It has a Japanese meaning, doesn't it?
Mm.
I remember this back in the day, and I did know it, but I don't know it. I'm just trying to have a look. Actually comes. Come on, answer it, you bitch!
Come on, Google. You should ask Jeeves.
Oh fuck's sake! I should go on to bloody Chat GPT, shouldn't I, and ask that.
But anyway, I mean,
just carry on while I look.
Yeah. So when it was announced, and they was going to announce, I think Zelda Twilight Princess was a launch game for it. It must have been, because I pre-ordered the Wii with Game, which was quite a new high street chain back then. I think in 2006, we had a lot of game stations and a lot of independent shops, but Game was kind of taking over the high street. And I remember actually queuing up at midnight to go and get my Wii with Twilight Princess, and I was really excited. And I got it back home, and I had a huge, one of the biggest and one of the last CRTs that you could get from that era, and It was absolutely massive. You know, widescreen CRT, weighed a ton, getting it upstairs, and I had one of those horrible glass TV stands that everyone had back then.
I've still got one.
Nice.
Just absorbs dust, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Dust is my mortal enemy.
It's like every day is dust on it. And I remember plugging it in, and my mate Russell coming round, and we used to play the Xbox a lot together up until the early hours in the morning, playing Jurassic Park. You know, the sim version.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
I can't remember what it was called now, but we loved that game. And he came round and he was a bit apprehensive. And I was like, no, it's Nintendo's going to be great. And we plugged it on. And he said, God, the graphics are worse than the Xbox. It just wasn't what I was expecting. I was expecting some sort of change, but it didn't. Obviously, it was that they created that game for the GameCube, didn't they, as well? Because it was released on the GameCube, so there wasn't.
Yeah,
it wasn't really. Didn't look next gen, put it that way.
Yeah.
But it was a Zelda game, and I enjoyed it. And I think me and my son played through it in about 6 months, on and off, hour here, there, and there. And I loved it. And then slowly, games did start to come. In fact, when they did come, they come by the shovel load. And literally, it was shovelware heaven on the Wii, wasn't it? And there was shovelware everywhere. There were bargain bins.
Petrol shop games.
Yeah, it was just everywhere. And it's a funny thing to think about, really, because Nintendo always had control over the amount of games that, well, they did in the past anyway with the NES. They had a lot of control, a seal of approval with a lot of NES games because of the crash that happened in the early 80s. So they were very hot on what was released, but they obviously didn't care about the Wii, because there was just so much shit. But it didn't bring the console down. It didn't affect the market. And in fact, it went on to be one of the biggest consoles ever to be released. And
it was also, sorry for butting in, it was also one of the consoles that I remember having such a demand on supply. Like, it seemed to be out of stock, like, constantly.
So for the first year or two, and that's a good business model, though, Darren.
Yeah.
If you flood the market, then people are not so interested. But if you make it a demand, then people become interested because they can't get hold of it, and everyone wants to get hold of it. If someone's got something, then they want it. That's just a great business model.
Yeah. People did actually theorise that they were specifically like squeezing the amount out bit by bit, rather than actually producing as many as they thought.
They probably did. I don't think there was a lack of technology chips at the time, like there was for PS5. I mean, it was already available back then. I think it was just a very good business model, and it worked. You know, you can't knock them for that.
That's it. There must have been. I know a lot of people that kind of were like, "Oh, I popped into a game and they just got a delivery in, and there was one extra that hadn't gone out on sale, so I had to grab it."
Yeah,
just in case.
Yeah, and there were flippers, weren't there? People flipping the machines and whatnot. But I got the white. Mine was the white console. I've never quite worked out how to sort of display it. I think I ended up displaying it upright. You have a little sleeve that it sat in, and it sort of sat
I think upright. Out of all the consoles, I think that was one of the ones where upright is kind of the way it should be, because it was sort of like an angle, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah. And I think it was pretty good. And I think the first model was backwards compatible, wasn't it, with the GameCube? With a GameCube, is that correct? I think it was.
I think so. I can't quite remember.
I mean, mine. I'm pretty sure mine is. Although the second edition, the red one that I've got, looking at it now in front of me, is not backwards compatible.
Yeah, where would you put those tiny GameCube discs?
They go in the same slot as the Wii disc.
Oh,
you'd be worried it would shift over to the side or something, wouldn't it?
Get lost,
It kind of picks it up as you push it in. It kind of just grabs it and takes it in.
I must admit, out of most of the consoles, the next console we'll talk about after this one has the most beautiful disc loading mechanism out of any machine I've ever used.
Yeah.
Feels like it caresses the games it goes in.
It's got 4 ports, isn't it? And which you could plug GameCube controllers into, especially for Super Smash Brothers, because it's an esports game. A lot of people were still playing that, so that was great that we could still use GameCube controllers. I still think that is a brilliant controller, and it had some fantastic releases. And if you want me to get into the games now, I can run off a few of my favourites. I mean, Super Mario Galaxy, I quite enjoyed.
I think that was a favourite from a lot of people, actually. It was, It was pretty good the way you went from the planets.
Yeah, I think it was pretty good. And the fact the other player could join in and pick up the stars with the Wii remote, I thought that was quite a cool thing to add. Skyward Sword was a huge letdown.
The controls were shit, weren't they?
Terrible. I mean, they were really trying to express this Wii remote and these Wii controls with the game and how much it would benefit, but it didn't at all. In fact,
didn't they bring out Wii Motion Plus or something to help counteract some of the issues people were having with the original Wiimote?
Yeah, they did. That's correct. The Plus became more sensitive, didn't it? I think.
So the ones I remember is like you could get a Mario and Luigi themed one.
That's right. The only game I remember playing really, and it worked really well. The only games let me start again. The only games I remember playing that worked really well with the Wii remote for those kind of fighting games was Red Steel. I thought that was pretty cool. Which was
yes, I never played that. I wanted to though. But...
Yeah, that was pretty cool. So that was kind of like a hack and slash samurai, third person perspective kind of brawler. I thought that was quite cool. Obviously, the Wii Sports games were brilliant. They worked really well. The tennis games, the bowling games, all of that. Resident Evil 4. Now, this is a funny one because Resident Evil 4 is one of my favourite Resident Evil games, and it was one of the big games on the GameCube, and then it was ported to the Wii, and now we had motion controls. And I didn't mind it. I thought it worked all right with it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Maybe it's because I love the game anyway. But I think that's a bit of a Marmite game on the Wii because, I think people just prefer to have a controller. But I actually quite enjoyed it with the Wii remote. Okami, another good game with the Wii remote. The Metroid games I struggled with. You had Metroid Prime 3 Corruption. Now, as you know, I'm a huge Metroid fan. They also brought out, what was the other Metroid game, which was an absolute disaster with the Wii remote? But Metroid Prime 3 was not too bad. The other one I really enjoyed was Masura. I think, no, that's not how you pronounce it. I've butchered that. Muramasa or Muramasa. Is that it?
Muramasa?
Yeah, the Demon Blade. Have you played that?
Muramasa Demon Blade, yeah, by Vanillaware.
What a beautiful looking game. Fantastic.
Gorgeous game.
Yeah, side-scrolling. What's the game on the PlayStation that was similar to? Was it Dragon's Breath or Dragon's
Crown?
Dragon's Crown, that was it. So I think it's from the same designers, Darren. Is that correct?
Yes, you can also actually get Muramasa on the PlayStation Vita. It looks gorgeous on there. In fact,
it does.
You can get most of them.
Really chuffed that came to the Wii. Zack and Wiki's Quest for Baroros Treasure or something, I think it's called. I really enjoyed that. That is a kind of puzzle-solving click adventure. I thought that was absolutely brilliant. Had a lot of fun with that. Donkey Kong Country, I think, was great on the Wii. And also we got Sin and Punishment, which only got a Japanese release on the N64.
Right.
That got a port to the Wii. That was the first time I ever played it, because I was never going to own a Japanese N64. So thoroughly enjoyed that. So that's like an on-rail shooter, very much in the vein of what's that one called? Pandora's Dragon? No.
Panzer Dragoon.
Panzer Dragoon, that's it, Darren. So on that kind of thing, on-rail shooter. I'm not a huge fan of on-rail shooters, but Sin and Punishment is a really good one, if that's the one you want to play. Kirby's Epic Yarn, I thoroughly enjoyed. So
I played that. Yeah, I really enjoyed that one, yeah.
I remember, didn't Stunty play it as well?
I think so. That was a good co-op game, a couch co-op game.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one they taken. See, the PlayStation had brought out, what was that? Their mascot with that similar sort of.
Boy.
Yeah,
that's a Little Big Planet.
It's a very tangible looking universe that you could touch, wasn't it? Kind of material. I thought that was pretty cool. Boom Blocks Bash Party. I thoroughly enjoyed that game. So that was using the Wii remote. So you're throwing like boulders at blocks, and you got to knock them down. That sounds really stupid. I really enjoyed that. I thought it was brilliant. Punch Out. You had two options playing Punch Out. I'm a huge Punch Out fan as well, especially from the NES days. And we hadn't seen a Punch Out since the Super Nintendo, and it came out on the Wii and made use of the Wii remote, and I wasn't going to stand there punching. It's too tiring. Fuck that. But it was a good game anyway.
Have we mentioned the amount of people who managed to put their Wiimotes through their television sets?
Oh, God, yeah, loads, I bet.
Do you remember all those videos?
Yeah.
Obviously, they'd be like, you've got to use the hand strap or it'll come flying off. Like while you're flailing your arms about with the controller.
Yeah. Sorry, I cut out there. Someone called me. Did you hear that?
No, that's good, mate.
Oh, cool. And then we had some great fighters, guys. Do you know which one it is?
There's one that I always wanted to play, and it was on the Wii only, I believe.
Oh, really?
But it might not be that one.
Tatsunoko versus
Capcom. That's the one.
Who versus Capcom? Tatsunoko. Who the fuck is that? What's that then?
So do you remember Battle of the Planets? It was one of the first animes that we got on our shores in the 80s.
No,
and I was a huge fan. You had all the characters. You had all the characters from that.
He's not as old as us, Alex.
It was a great game, and in fact, you could even get. I think it was either Hori or Capcom brought out a dedicated fighting stick, and I remember buying two of them, and they sold out really quickly, and I was like, everyone was so jealous that I had the actual Tatsunoko versus Capcom fighting stick, and it was awesome. I loved it.
Oh, excellent.
And they soon became collector's items, and I think I sold them in the end, But that was a great game. That really was.
I imagine it's only licensing issues why this game hasn't made a comeback or reappeared remastered at some point.
Yeah.
if you want to listen to the rest of this week's awesome episode, you need to subscribe to the Patreon. So head on over to patreon.com/360gamercast. There, from as little as £5 a month, you get access to all of our episodes every single week of the year, including all our special ones that we have been doing, like today's. We're talking about the Wii and the Wii U, and we've done all of the Nintendo consoles, even though in a couple of weeks we're doing the handhelds. That will finish off Nintendo. We have done Sega, PlayStation, and Xbox. And then after the handheld of Nintendos, we'll be moving on to other retro systems. So if you don't want to miss out on these awesome episodes, you need to subscribe. Also, you'll be entered after 2 months of being a Patreon subscriber into the monthly giveaway of a game card of your choice. We already did that last week, and those prizes have been given out. So congratulations to those people. So again, the website is patreon.com/360gamercast. Do it now.